Hey everybody, welcome back to 608 Fab. Today is the day we're going to start episode 3 of the ACES Fusion EFI install on the buggy. So I've had this box right here sitting under the hood of the Jeep since I started the project back in November. And I got the fuel cell installed, mocked up. I got a few other things kind of mocked up around the ass end of this thing, and I figure it's time to probably open this box up, see what's actually inside, to start looking at fuel pump mounting, fuel line routing, things of that nature. So let's see what's in the box. All the toys. All right, so box number 1 that I opened up appears to be the inline fuel pump kit with the PTFE hose. So their packaging is damn impressive. Regulator, filter. Oh wait, no, this is the tool. Oh, get out of there. I believe that, yeah, this is the tool for putting the fittings together. Another filter here, pressure gauge, pump bracket, lots of hose, another clamp for probably fuel filter. So I'm going to give them an A+ on packaging. All right, before we get on to the rest of this packaging, before I repackaged up that fuel pump and regulator setup, I grabbed the pump, grabbed the bracket. I don't know, maybe something like that. We'll see. Let's look at the little trinkets here. So when I ordered mine, this was all like Black Friday stuff, right? Now we're in January, finally getting it put together. But 5-inch screen. That was their deal in promo at that time. Came with the screen mount, suction cup duplicus. I'll probably do something different with either bullet point mounting solutions or a ram mount. And the system does not need this to run once it is programmed. So it is not waterproof, and we may or may not actually have it in the Jeep, but I do intend to run it 90% of the time in the Jeep because I'm going to run oil pressure through it. Because I bought, well, whatever that is, part number. This is, I believe, the oil pressure sensor kit. So that'll give me oil pressure. I won't need a gauge on the dash. I'll probably still have a gauge on the dash, but maybe I can make that thing light up red or flash or do something if I ever lost oil pressure. The temp sensor comes with the kit. Comes with 2 coil driver hookups. I believe that's what these are, coil A, coil B, or something like that. I don't know where coil A is the other one. So really nicely done wiring from what I can see at this point. O2 sensor comes with a bung to weld in. We've got a CAN bus to USB connector to hook up laptop to it. Installation kit, it looks like a little firewall grommet. I don't know what these little rubber mounting pad duplicuses are, but isolation something or others maybe. That's kind of what they look like. Another cute keychain. Maybe a flash drive. Yeah, there's a flash drive hiding in there. And coil. So I don't need this coil. I'm going to run an HEI for the meantime. I'm not going to use the ignition system built into the Fusion. I just want to do one item at a time because I know I currently have good ignition and distributor setup. So this was just part of the package deal. It was a freebie. All I'd have to do is order a distributor to operate off this. So let's put this all back in packages, because all of these items here are going to be a little bit other than probably O2 sensor stuff, and we'll get to the meat of this system. All right, so this is the meat and potatoes right here, ACE's Fusion. So this is the first time I've gotten scared on this project. This is a giant, well, okay, it's not giant. I'm gonna blow it out of proportion. There's 8 wires in that. All right, when you open the box, ACE's, when you open the box, you should repackage this stuff so that it's not scary. That was kind of scary. So, but their packaging has been great to this point. This is really going to kind of take 2 hands to sort out, but that is the Fusion. We've got some coil driver wires here. I'm not even going to unpackage this all the way. I am. By the end of this video, this is going to be sitting on the intake. CAN bus hookup, coil driver, VR. Is that O2 sensor? No, that's not O2 sensor. Wideband, I don't know what VR is, but ground wires, real simple stuff. And then this harness is the only harness that's not pre-loomed so far. Obviously some of these reds are not loomed, but everything up to the point of plugs is nicely loomed. But okay, so this is going to be tack out. We've got fan control, ground trigger, fan 1, fan 2 maybe here, fuel level sensor. Yeah, because I'm going to have a fuel gauge now, boys. First time ever. OPS. Oops. Not sure what that is. And so yeah, some of their other inputs and outputs to the system. Yeah, there's fan 2. I don't know what that one says. Blue. There's nothing labeled on the blue wire. But that should be pretty easy to lay out. Then you're just gonna, route this around the engine and loom it out as you see fit. Same with the rest of this stuff here. So I got a battery in the back. I have switch power at the front. I got to read into that a little better. But their wiring from what I'm seeing so far, pretty minty, pretty minty. One of the other things I see, people say, I've seen online, you got to go online for instructions. Mine came with, I don't know, what do we got? How many pages we got? 48 pages of instruction, timing control. Okay, maybe this is all, oh geez, maybe this is all like how to use it and not install it. But system requirements, horsepowers. All right, starts going through and telling you what's what and who's who on this thing. Ported, non-ported, fuel connecting, what you need for the fuel system, installation steps. So, hell, layouts there. No clue what some of that is. O2 stuff. And looks like, okay, now we're going to get into wiring. So, lays out the wiring, how certain things have to have constant power, certain things can have switched power, and good stuff like that. So, if for everything I've read, as long as you follow the installation instructions, it should work. We're going to find out. We are most certainly going to find out. So, I am officially traveling into the world of unknown, Now granted, I was Honda Master Tech in the outboard world 16 years ago now. That was at the early advent of EFI in the Honda outboard world. Wow, probably 6 years into it, but we literally diagnosed that stuff with like a Palm Pilot. Remember, people old enough to know what a Palm Pilot was. It was like a giant smartphone that was pretty stupid. So I'm pretty confident that like an iPhone 4 is smarter. Actually, any iPhone is smarter than a Palm Pilot. So I'm gonna get cracking. I mentioned I want to have that throttle body sitting on top of that engine by the end of this video. It's obviously not going to be hooked up or working, but it's going to be on there. We'll see what it looks like. Wow, this step was easy. Again, not an ACES sponsored YouTube channel by any means. I'll take some money. No. You can pay me after all these episodes are done. How's that? Grab your ass. All right, so rip the junky Rochester off and literally cleaned up gasket surfaces, installed new studs, dropped this thing on there, hooked up a throttle cable, massaged this throttle cable bracket a little bit, and this thing's installed. Don't mind the dirty ass motor. Ultimately, this will get cleaned up, but it's cold out. It's like 12 degrees outside, and I'm not washing shit. Can I say that? I'll bleep it out. So, my crummy throttle cable bracket, this is like an AutoZone special that I had modified years ago to match up to the throttle cable on the Jeep CJ foot pedal, factory one. This tab here, or stud post for the throttle cable, did not come with this ACES kit. So this is an Edelbrock factory with the eyelet style throttle cable and cotter pin. It came with one with like a ball socket on it. So I just robbed the one off the carburetor head. If you've got this kind of cable, you've probably got this on your carburetor. Steal it, put it on the ACES. Return spring, twang, bolted down. Wiring looks a lot less dauntless now that it's unwrapped out of the box. And it's just literally a couple of simple harnesses. We're gonna drop this guy on. This is my really crummy cold air intake thing that I created. I gotta put a gasket in that. Another cool thing, this sits really low profile. So if you had hood clearance issues, this is probably, I'm assuming they built it off of like a Holly spec, but it is, I'm gonna say a 1/4 inch shorter, just looking at it, than an Edelbrock. And I could put a caliper on it, but it's shorter, trust me. And it is certainly shorter than a Rochester that came off, and the fact that I needed the spread bore to square bore spacer. So bought myself some hood clearance, which also makes my little cold air intake that sits over here out of the mud and water, kind of protected, fit a little better under the grill support arms here. So let me show you the throttle cable setup they set you with, which is a ball socket of sorts. And I did see this guy here, but I think, I don't know, that could be for a throttle cable hookup, but I'm thinking this is for one of the vacuum ports when you put it on a Roots blower. I believe, from what I read in the instructions, that is what those guys consist of. Actually, those two go with those two. So, yeah, that's literally that easy. So, because this quick install has gone literally so easy, I've only been here about 45 minutes after I get the heat warmed up and ate some lunch. Next thing I'm gonna do, delete the factory fuel pump, aftermarket factory style fuel pump off the small block Chevy, install the Spectra cheap China pump cover block off kit with gasket. I hope to God it's got a gasket in there. and start ripping fuel lines out of this thing. All right, so I'll show you where we've kind of leaving things off here for the day. I've got the fuel pump block off plate installed. I've probably got the easiest fuel pump removal system known to man. I've got obviously the Aces Fusion sitting on there with some wiring just draped over stuff. Got the fuel lines pulled out for the most part underneath the chassis, and I came to the back here to start looking at how I want to mount things. Fittings. So I bought their whole fitting installation kit, line kit, etc. Took a little bit of thinking to sort it all out and put it all together. So, and then it kind of all, once it goes together, it makes sense. But large AN fittings on the feed side of the pump. All right. And then on the pressure side, it drops down. So I think these are 6s, those are 4s. I got to do the math because I got to figure out what's what, because I've got to buy more fittings. So this fitting is also on the gravity feed side, runs the larger fitting right off the Jazz fuel cell, which is nice. And then between the pump and the tank, I've got to fit this giant frickin' filter. So I'm kind of mocking up. This is going to more or less be what my skid plate pan is for the back of the chassis. And I'm trying to figure out, let's see if my tape's good enough, where this thing is going to hang out in here. So I do not have that taped up there good enough to drop it. So I think this guy is going to sit somewhere at an angle on that skid plate. I might make a bracket off of this fuel pump or fuel tank mounting bracket here. I've got to order up, I'm thinking a 90 to come off of the tank, and if I use this far there, I'll be able to run a 90 of some sort, maybe a pair of 90s. I'm not sure, but I got to get some 90s to kind of start laying things out a little bit better. And then maybe a pair of 45s over here with a short section of hose. So this big filter sucks up a ton of space, and I'm obviously kind of trying to jam 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. But I know there's way tighter hot rod applications than what I've got going on here. So that's where we're leaving off. As always, like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to order up some extra fittings so I got a little arsenal and start kind of piecing some more stuff together. So thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Do something cool in your garage.